2024 PGA champion Xander Schauffele is with us now. Xander, first of all, congratulations. How's it feel to hoist your first Wanamaker trophy?
It feels amazing. Yeah, just a wide range of emotions for me. Very satisfying win, and I really can't wait to get back and celebrate with my team.
That's great. We'll take a few questions starting on mic 7 and then 12.
Xander, many congratulations. You must be absolutely thrilled. You said this week that not winning makes you want to win more. So I want to ask you now, how determined were you to become a major champion?
Yeah, I mean, I've become very patient, not knocking off any wins in the last couple of years. The people that are closest to me know how stubborn I can be. So winning. I said it earlier. It is a result. I mean, this is awesome. It's super sweet. But when I break it down, I'm really just proud of how I handled certain moments on the course today. Different from the past.
And how tough was it with that battle with Bryson DeChambeau already posting 20 under? How much pressure were you feeling then, the heat of battle?
I mean, I assumed someone was going to. My goal was to get to 22 today. I told Austin when we turned, if I can get to 22, I think, someone's going to have to beat me. I really didn't want to go into a playoff with Bryson. Going up 18 is just not, with his length, it's not something that, I was going to have a whole lot of fun with. But I was able to capture that moment there. Getting up and down 17 was really big. And then that chip there on 18 was big for me as well. So I just kept telling myself I need to earn this and be in the moment. And I was able to do that.
12.
Xander, what were your emotions like when that putt was on its way on 18?
I was pretty nervous. I walked up, I saw a little left to right. I kept reading it. I kept kind of panning. It started to look right to left to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is not what I want for a winning putt. Fortunately, it was uphill. It was, 6 feet-ish. I ended up playing it straight. It did go left, caught the left side. Just so much relief. When it lipped in, I don't even really remember it lipping in. I just heard everyone roaring, and I just look up to the sky in relief.
Mike 7.
Xander, can you walk us through your second shot on 18, including what you thought when you saw where it finally finished?
Yeah, 17, 18 were kind of weird for me. 16, I hit a really good drive. Had mud on the right side of my ball. Had an 8-iron in. Wasn't able to be super aggressive just because of the mud there. Kind of hung it out to the right. Mud didn't affect it. 17, I thought I just didn't hit it high enough. I hit it hard enough, just not high enough, and it kind of hit the lip in the bunker there. Wasn't a great lie, so really happy with that. And then 18, again, it was just like I just kept telling myself, I was like, man, this is someone out there is making me earn this right now. I just kept grinding. I get up there and just kind of chuckled. I was like, this is just, if you want to be a major champion, this is the kind of stuff you have to deal with. So I dealt with it, and happily was able to push that thing up. My only concern was sort of shanking it from more of a baseball swing.
Let's go next to 9, 2, and 5.
Yeah, your major record before you got here, from the outside, always looked like deeply impressive. Did you look at it that way, or were you more apt to look at it as lacking?
I don't think I'd ever look at it as lacking. I looked at it as someone that is trying really hard and needs more experience. And, all those close calls for me, even last week, that sort of feeling, it gets to you at some point, and it just makes this even sweeter. I told Todd Lewis, he asked me sort of, how I felt about the week, and I said, it'll make my next one even sweeter. So this is, I know it's a major, but just winning in general, this is as sweet as it gets for me.
Mate, Danny, so you've had the narrative thrown at you for at least the last few months, maybe the year. I know you said it wasn't bothering you, but let's be honest now. How annoying was it to hear it from us over and over again? When is it going to come? And how do you use that as fuel?
Definitely a chip on the shoulder there. It just is, it is what it is at the end of the day. I mean, you guys are asking the questions, probing, and I have to sit here and answer it. It's a lot easier to answer it with this thing sitting next to me now, obviously. But, Yeah, it's just fuel to my fire. It always has been growing up, and it certainly was leading up to this.
You always, at the beginning of your career, fed off the underdog status. Then you almost had a lull when you became elite, somewhat winning. How did you get back to believing the underdog again?
I referred to it earlier. All of us are climbing this massive mountain. At the top of the mountain, Scotty Scheffler. You know, I won this today, but I'm still not that close to Scotty Scheffler in the big scheme of things. So, you know, I got one good hook up there in the mountain, up on that cliff, and I'm still climbing. You know, I might have a beer up there on that side of the hill there and enjoy this, but you know, it's not that hard to chase when someone's so far ahead of you.
Xander, I know, you know, as an athlete, you always have to believe in yourself and believe that you're going to win. But was there ever a moment that you maybe doubted that this major championship win would come when you look at all the great players out there who don't have major titles?
I just, you know, I believe in positive self-talk. You know, I will tell myself, I'll speak to myself. I just kept doing it. You know, when you believe something enough, it'll happen. And, you know, I never really... It starts to wear on you, I'd say, and that's kind of what I told Austin. I really want to make sure I make the right decisions. I don't want to get impatient, and you know, I believed in what I can do, and you know, this is just fruits of it.
And then how key was it for you to post those back-to-back birdies after the lone bogey that you had on 10?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I've made a stupid bogey before, and then I've hit a really good shot after that. Today I finally made those putts. I finally had enough pace, or it lipped in, or whatever you want to call it. You know, it was my moment, and I was able to capitalize on some good iron shots coming in. So it just in those moments, you know, you can kind of feel it. And in the past, when I didn't do it, it just wasn't there. And today, I could feel that it was there.
Next up, 11, 6, and 13.
Yeah, Xander, kind of following up on that. What did you tell yourself after the 10th? And I think when you got up to the 11th green, I believe Victor had pulled even at the top, and there was a scoreboard right there.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see that?
Yeah, no, I was looking at it. Typically, someone like me who's pretty much tried everything, to be completely honest, that hasn't won in 2 years. You try not to look at the leaderboards until the back nine. You try to look at them early. You try not to look at them at all. Today, I looked at them. I looked at them all day. I really wanted to feel everything. I wanted to address everything that I was feeling in the moment. And I thought I had the lead. So when I looked up at the board, I was like, oof, you know, I saw Javi was at 19. So I was back into chasing mode, and I knew that putt was really big in the tournament.
Xander, what were the moments that you felt today you handled differently?
Early, I mean, I didn't get frustrated. On the first hole, I just kept telling myself, you know, just be calm, be patient, put a good stroke on this one. That one in. On 3, I thought I hit a good putt. It looked like it kind of bounced to the right in some sort of mark that I didn't see, that I didn't fix, and it lipped out. Made that good putt on 4, missed that one on 3, and then on 5 I left that short. I just kept telling myself that just weather the storm, you know. I knew that birdies had to be made, so there was some sort of aggression that I knew coming into today. You know, it wasn't like a tournament round where I could kind of sit back and shoot 2 or 3 under. It just wasn't going to be enough. So I knew that I need to have some pace on my putts, some more aggressive lines coming into pins, and that putt on 6 was big for me. That par putt was big.
When people would call you the best player never to win a major, how did you view that statement?
It's just noise. That's what I think. I thought I was. Not that people saying it made me think that. I just felt like, you know, I've done enough work. I'm good enough to do it. I just needed to shut my mind up and actually do it.
Xander, your golf swing is a little bit different maybe than it was a year or 2 ago. How did those changes on this golf course this week help you sit next to the trophy?
Yeah, all year actually. This is probably the most comfortable I felt with some of the changes that Chris was able to implement. They weren't big changes. Just getting the club a little bit more on plane up top was key. Shoulders maybe a little bit steeper. I trend to go a little bit flat and a little laid off. So I felt like last week there's some intimidating tee shots there. I was able to hit some good drives, so I pulled on that a little bit this week. Knowing that the fairways are soft, so if you hit a good drive, it's going to pretty much end up where it goes. And it's been amazing working with Chris. He's been awesome and definitely a contributing factor to me holding this thing today.
Dylan on 3, and then Jeff on 4, please.
Was there a moment where you felt the magnitude of the tournament? Like, was there a certain point in the round where you felt like, all right, this is big, this is a major, this is do or die time?
On 6, I felt like 6 to 7 was a really big stretch for me. I saw a bunch of guys putting that thing in the morning. There was mud on my ball. It was like into the grain. It was uphill, and I saw DJ actually in coverage putt it up to like 2 feet, and I was like, oh, that doesn't look that bad, And then I bobbled my putt up the hill and started bouncing early, and with the Zoysia, it's pretty dangerous to do that. So I really calmed myself. I just said, greens are a little bit bumpy. Just put a good stroke on it, and the rest is history. And I was able to roll that one in, which was really big, and then that putt on 7-2, and that sort of calmed me a little bit. And then, I was actually pretty calm when I made that putt on 9. And then 10, I was a little greedy trying to hit that shot. So I'd say that early stretch for me was really big.
Jeff?
Xander, what will it mean for you to go back to Paris in the Olympics now as a major champion?
It's just a cherry on top. It's totally separate to competing in the Olympics. I mean, it definitely helps with the qualifying process. That was my goal, obviously, was to qualify. The U.S. team is a strong one. It's a hard one to qualify for. So I'm hoping, I imagine this win probably secures me into qualifying for the Olympics. But that's a whole different ballgame, winning that one. But definitely be able to pull some confidence from this thing.
14, 9, and 8.
Hey, Xander, you talked about wanting to celebrate and looking forward to celebrating with everyone who's here. They were obviously super excited for the win. Can you just tell us who is here and how influential or great have they been for your life and your golf?
Yeah. My uncle's my agent. He's been with me from the beginning of the year. My brother cooks for me. He's not a professional cook, but he can make some tasty food. So he's been willing to help me. Hopefully he stays out with me a little longer. He just got engaged. My wife, she's sort of the rock in my life. She's constant for me. My 2 dogs. And I had an old buddy and his girlfriend traveled down from New York. And I think you saw probably Max's caddy, Joe, was there. He's really close with Austin. I'm good buddies with Joe, and Dave, Taylor Moore's caddy as well. Those are the people that I saw coming up the green. And then Chris was there as well. He kind of hung around and was here for it, which was awesome.
Xander, Dad's been such a part of this journey. Is it a little bit odd to not have him here in the biggest win? And how much is he in your head as you're battling today?
Yeah, he was. He crept into my mind yesterday during an interview. I just said, I'm going to have to sneak back to that commit, execute, accept. That's something that he's ingrained in me since I was about 9 years old. I was actually able to call him when I was standing waiting to walk onto the 18th green, and he was a mess. He was crying on the phone, and it made me pretty emotional. I told him I had to hang up because I had to walk down. I couldn't show up looking like the way I was. But my parents have they're not here this week, but they know how important they are to me. And my dad, his goal, he's been my swing coach and my mentor my entire life, and his goal was really to just like any good dad would want, just to set your kid up for a successful future. And he really meant that. He was like, what capacity am I going to help you this week? He sent me a positive text throughout the week, all week, even last week as well. And now that I'm working with Chris, he feels like he can kind of take his hands off the wheel a little bit. He trusts him a lot. I trust him a lot. So, my dad's at that stage in his life. I really want him to be happy, and I know this is going to bring him a ton of joy where he's at in Hawaii right now.
Do you remember him ever crying about anything in your golf?
My dad's actually, people, he's referred to as the ogre, but he's a big teddy bear. Steve Stricker wins a tournament and he's crying. My dad's sitting there right on the couch crying with him. That's the kind of guy he is.
Thanks.
8.
Xander, hi, me again. You've had a wonderful career, and I wonder as you reflect back on the last few years, what do you feel has been the biggest hurdle to overcome to get to this point, to this magnificent moment in your life and career?
I mean, I'm a big believer of getting the right foundation, the right people around you, having a good team around you, and then I believe that if you put in the hard work and you let yourself do what you think you can do, you're going to have some fruits to the labor. So to be specific about it, I'm not really sure, to be honest. I felt like I've been on this sort of trending path for quite some time. I had to stay patient. I really had to stay patient and keep the self-belief up, and I was able to do both those things.
3, then 7.
I know one of your sayings has been "the steady drip breaks the stone." I imagine this is what that looks like.
It's actually what my dad texted me last night.
Last night.
Yeah, in German. In German, though, I had to ask him what the translation was.
Do you know how to pronounce it in German?
I can look it up, but probably not.
Yeah. And I imagine that's just something that you guys have shared, is his sayings over the years. Is that kind of true?
Yeah. I mean, there's been some famous German philosophers, and my dad, he was a bit of a reader growing up, so I'm sure that's where he got a lot of them from, and he's definitely put them in my brain. When I hear the U.S. versions of them, they sound super foreign. When I that kind of sounds like this one I know, but that's just my dad being my dad and coming from Germany.
7.
Xander, just curious, why weren't you looking forward to a battle with Bryson in a playoff?
It's just 18. It's like a driver pitching wedge for him, or like a 9-iron maybe. I don't even know. If he tomahawks a draw off the water, it's literally going to be like a driver 9-iron maybe. I mean, you can ask him 8-iron. So it's just one of those things. If you run that stat in your head, sort of like who has the advantage, it's the guy who hits it further. If we're playing like a long par 3 or like a short par 4 or something like that, maybe I feel like I'd have an edge, but you just, I kind of calculate those things in my head, and I knew it was important to take advantage of that.
Back here to Mike 5.
Hey, Xander, does it add anything to this victory that you just posted the lowest 72-hole score in the history of a major championship, or like you said, you wouldn't care whatever the winning score was?
I mean, it's just the weather that came through. I mean, Valhalla is a big property, and the weather really, and the fog and sort of all those things, if every day was like today, I mean, I think the greens would have been firmer, the fairways would have been firmer, it would have been harder to hit them, they kind of would have started rolling off into the rough, those kinds of things, but just sort of had to take what the course was going to give me, and I just, getting to 21 just had to be done, and for it to be a part of history is obviously pretty cool.
We'll wrap it up with Jeff.
Xander, your ability to put last week behind you quickly this week, there was a focus about you. What kind of factor was that in getting this done?
I mean, I actually used last week as sort of fuel. I mean, it was some of the best ball striking I've had in quite some time, shaping it right to left, left to right. And I knew that this course was sort of, you had to do those things. You had to hit it far, you had to shape the ball correctly. And it was going to be sort of it turned into not a putting contest, but whoever can hit it the closest from the fairway with their irons from distance, because it was just kind of plugging on the green. So I kind of used that as fuel, and it calmed me a little bit, knowing I'm coming into a major in good form.
Thanks for your time, Xander. Congrats again.
Thanks, guys.